Hello, my name is Kirsty. Welcome to Kirsty Knits and Sews. This is my podcast where I talk about all the things that I've been making. Today I have knitting, crochet and cross stitch and a tiny bit of spinning to share with you. I live in Rzeszów in Poland with my husband and my kids, and knitting is something that I do for fun in between the rest of life. So I have a lot to share with you today, surprisingly a lot. It feels like it hasn't been too long since I last shared, and yet as I was working through what I've done, I'm like, oh, I haven't showed this one at all. So I have new whips, I have finished objects, I have my oldest whip is done. I've been working on it for 3 years and it's finished. Lots and lots of things. I'm also currently hosting a tea knit along. It's just knit any tea, knit crochet any tea, t-shirt type thing. And if you want to join in on that, we've got a chat on Ravelry going on for talking about what you're knitting, another thing for finished objects, and that runs till the end of this month, the end of June 2025. So if you're knitting a tea and you want to join in, go over there and check it out. If you want to knit a tea and you want a bit of oomph to get started, join us there as well. I have started another tea, and spoiler alert, it isn't one of the ones that I asked about last episode, but we will get to that. I didn't write down here, but it is the end. It's not the end of May. It's the beginning of June. It's June 13 at 1:02 p.m. It is Friday here, and this is episode 47. Lots of things that I forgot to say. But I just realised that I didn't write down, but I have May stats. So let me just go to May. In May, I finished 4 things, and I used 488 grams of yarn. So that was my butterfly papillion shawl, a pair of socks, a t-shirt, and something that I have here to show you. I did try to finish my oldest whip by the end of May, so I can include that in May stats, and I didn't quite make it. I will show you that right now, in fact. So this is my oldest whip, and I'm not even going to have a good way to show you because it is huge. Here it is. This is my Bits and Bobs blanket. This is a pattern by Kay Jones. It's a paid for pattern on Ravelry. I didn't follow the pattern exactly at all. I cast on a few more stitches. I don't know how many more, but a few more, because I decided I want it bigger. I didn't even look at the pattern again after I started it, to be honest. It was just mostly, it was mostly about the stitch count and the actual pattern. Once I had that, I kept going. I believe in the pattern it has, you do an I-cord border, which I'm not going to bother with. I do not want that. So I used up all of my colour in the bind off. Even to the point where, yes, it's this corner. So my main colour was this kind of off grey or slight light grey, and this much of the bind off I actually had to pick up another colour, which is a pale blue, to finish that off because I ran out that close to the edge. So this is my Bits and Bobs blanket. That means that is technically the bottom, but I will probably flip it around. So here we go. Okay, so it's too wide to fit on the screen, even if I scooch right back maybe. Alright, let's try this way. Wow. I'll scooch forward again. That is a lot of yarn, and I love it. This is super easy. It is I don't know if it's technically a 2-row or a 4-row repeat. I think a 2-row repeat, but it's very intuitive. So once you start and you have the pattern established, I didn't have to look at the pattern at all, and even for the bind off, without looking at the pattern, I was able to keep the pattern in the bind off. I think it's fisherman's rib or half fisherman's rib is technically what it is, but yeah, I love it. And what I did was I held one strand of, to start with, the first half of the blanket is Easy Care Merino, colour number 4. I got this off Hobby. It's 100% wool. I bought this not long after I moved to Poland, and before I bought much commercially dyed yarn. At that point, most of the stuff I bought was hand dyed. And after I looked around and learnt more about what's available here, I realised that this actually wasn't the most cost effective. So I ended up buying Fable drops to finish it off, colour 114. And so half the blanket is done with this, half the blanket is done with this. I think I bought enough originally for what the pattern said, so I don't know whether I just made it much longer. I definitely made it wider, but I ended up using, I think, around twice as much. Again, don't quote me on that because I haven't actually checked the pattern at all. These are my scraps left over after I finished the blanket. For the blanket, I used basically non-sock yarn, but fingering weight yarn. So it's all 4-ply fingering weight, but none of it has nylon, none of it is good for socks. At least not for longevity in socks. So this one I think is technically a 5-ply. That's Happy Sheep wool. This is a high twist. This is a silky merino, 100% merino. I believe this is a cotton merino, and this is 100% silk. So basically just anything that was 4-ply. I do have one in here that is not. This one is lace weight, which I did use a little bit, held double, but because this ball is not a centre pull, I couldn't easily do that again. But yeah, anything that is not 100%, cannot be used in socks, I used for this. And this is my leftover. The blanket itself weighs 1.291 kilograms, so 1,291 grams, almost the equivalent of 13 skeins of yarn. It is insane. Now, something that I always struggled with blankets, as I started knitting and I saw knitted blankets and I thought they're brilliant, but part of me was like, that's a lot of yarn to use in a blanket. And I couldn't bring myself to buy yarn to make a blanket unless it was acrylic, because that's significantly more affordable. But I love wool, and I love the feel of wool, and I love the warmth of wool, and that it doesn't make me sweaty. So when I saw this one, I thought, great, because you're using one strand held throughout, and then the other strand is scraps. And I love scraps, and I don't feel bad using scraps. So when I say 13 skeins, half of that is scraps, half of that I did buy for this project. But Fable is quite an affordable option for that. You can see all of these little things hanging off the blanket. I have not cut the ends. I have not locked this yet. I finished it last night. Very, very excited. And so I thought I would show you today, but I will block it, cut off the ends, and then I may show you again next time. I do want to block it before I cut off the ends because it's a very stretchy blanket and I don't want them to kind of weave out. But also for this, I did a clasped weft join. So what you do for that is let me get some yarn that I prepared earlier. So you have your end of yarn and you fold it over like this, and you hold that and you knit those two together, and then that loop, you put another piece of yarn through there like this, and then you hold that together and you knit. So as you're knitting, you're winding it in, but you're winding it in with its own colour. I've done another one for some of the projects that I'll show you today where I just start the next yarn and I knit. So they're overlapping 5 stitches knit, so they're not going to come unravelled. But for this one, yeah, I did do it so that it was held with its own. So you do have clear colour breaks and slightly thicker yarn. Like, I don't know if you'll be able to see this clearly. Here is the join. So this side, the top row is thicker. This side, the top row is, or the bottom row of the blue is thicker, and it joins just here. But it's woven in. Yeah, so that much is woven in for that colour, and it'll be about the same on the other side. I found that really easy. It meant that I didn't have to do a magic knot ball. I could change up the colour if I wanted to, as much as I wanted. I don't have to worry about ends at the end. In fact, I haven't even woven in the actual ends. Wow, that's poor. But I did the same for the bind off. Is when I knew I had to change, I just folded the grey back on itself, knit it, threaded the blue through and joined it, and then knit that as well, which is why you have these little tails sitting here. I found it super easy to do. Didn't at all make me go, I don't want to pick up that project, because it was so easy. And I just used everything. Like, some of the pieces I added in here were like 30-40 centimeters long, not very long at all. You can see like some of these is, you know, maybe one line on one side. I didn't do any color management. I didn't try and put colors together. The exception would probably be the bind off. I started weighing, let me show you here. Oh, no, other side. So last time I showed you, it would have been around here. In fact, not even that. This is where it was when I decided to try and finish it in 1 day, 2 days, was all of this. Now that represents a lot of hours of knitting, and what I ended up doing was building up a callus on my finger and then putting the needle through the callus, and then I couldn't keep knitting. I used a band-aid for a bit, but really my finger just needed to heal. And it was 11:30 at night and I knew I wasn't going to make it. So I put it aside, let my finger heal, and then when I picked it back up, I think I was even in this light green already, and I was able to finish that off over a few days, but the push was yesterday to get it done. And so because when I knew that I wasn't going to use up all my scraps, I decided to try and keep similar scraps together. So I have this one, which is a silky merino, but I now have 3 other colours of silky merino. So I thought I can use that in a scrappy project, maybe make a summer top with silky merino only. Yeah, these ones are all the same, like same dyer, same yarn base. So I thought I can put them together and use them somewhere. So when I knew that I was coming to the end, I actually kept, I think I tried to use up the singles, which I did. Yeah, I used up the singles. And then this blue I think is just 100% merino that I got in a advance swap. Thanks, Mel. So yes, but I did use a lot of singles. I used wool, nylon, silk, alpaca. This one here is either polyester, fully polyester, or acrylic. Yeah, I have a bit of sport weight. I have lace held double. Like, this is just scrappy and I love it. So, so great. So I started it on the 22nd of May 2022 and I finished it on the 12th of June 2025. So just over like 3 years and a few weeks. And yeah, like I said, 1,291 grams, which does not count towards May, but it will count towards June. Because when I'm doing projects, I count how much I finish in that month, not how much I actually knit, because I'm not weighing on my projects at the beginning of the month. Ain't nobody got time for that. Bits and bobs. I'm so looking forward to this. It is so heavy, so squishy. I have a pattern for a jumper that is either the same or a very similar stitch, so I really want to start that as well, but we'll see when I get to that. So that was my most recent finish. My first yarny finish that I have to show you is this beautiful, let me do the button up, beautiful little bolero. It is blocked, it has the button. I've given it to my daughter and she has worn it. In fact, yesterday she wore it to preschool and it was so cute. Yeah, absolutely delightful. What's falling down? So this is a pattern, it's the Entrechamp, maybe, by Frogginet. I'm pretty sure Frogginet. And it is beautiful, super easy, very interesting construction in that you start with this section here, so the sleeves and the back, and you knit back and forward there until you separate for you finish the sleeves, stop working the sleeves, finish them off, and then with the back down here, you pick up the front raglan across there, and so then you knit the front together with the back. Super, super clever, super, I was going to say easy to do. It's a little bit complicated conceptually, or at least I found it a little bit complicated conceptually, but once I was going, I was like, oh, this makes total sense, and it's a brilliant way to do it. The band is knit together with the body, so you don't have to go pick up stitches later, and it fits beautifully. I think I did the size 6 or 6 to 8. I did the second largest size for my daughter, who is 4 years old, but very tall for her size, or for her age. So yeah, love it. It fits beautifully. She loves it. Yeah, and just like the texture here on the front, and it goes around the back. You pick up extra stitches, or you make extra stitches here to get that little gather. I'm tempted. Frogginet has the pattern for this for adults. I wouldn't wear it with that front, but I do love the back, and I'm kind of tempted to make myself like maybe a tank top with frill sleeves that has this patterning around the waist. I'm tempted. If I do that, I'll let you know. But yeah, love it. This is my daughter's. My parents bought her the yarn for her birthday and got me to knit it for her. So very special piece, that one. The other finish I have, I showed you last week, but it is now done. Not framed, but done. This is my Jane Austen cross stitch. So it's based on a watercolour by Jane's sister Cassandra, and she did the watercolour in 1804. Yeah, just over 10 years before Jane died. I said last week, whether the 250th anniversary is of her birth or writing or something. It's definitely of her birth. So this year is 250 years since Jane Austen was born. And yeah, I just had to fill in some of the colours, the back stitching in here. So now it's done, and oh my goodness, I love it, and I'm looking forward to framing that and putting it up on the wall somewhere. I have debated doing, like, putting it into a bag, a project bag, and using that. But I don't know. What do you reckon? On the wall, project bag. I feel like the colours are delicate enough that I want to do the wall so it doesn't get smudgy. This is a kit that I got from an op shop. I did Google it, and I was able to find a bit of information. An MYI design down here. So if you're interested, you can look for that. M. Yvonne Illy, 1996. There you go. Hang on. So if you're interested, it's there. I definitely couldn't find anything in this area. I think sorry, that's crinkling. I'll put that away later. I did find Jane Austen's house in the same series, but not that I could access here in Poland without paying enormous shipping fees, if it was even in stock. Drinking an iced coffee again. It's my go-to at the moment. All right. So that Jane Austen cross stitch I bought, I want to say last year, maybe the year before, at an op shop. Only had cross stitching, back stitching to go, and now it's done. I have not picked what my next cross stitch project will be. I have a few more that I've adopted from op shops, so I may choose one of them, I may not. All right, I have a lot of whips to show you. I have old ones, my current oldest project that's not a blanket. I have blankets, I have lots of new things. So I'm just gonna grab a bag and go for it and hope that by the end I've showed you everything that I have to show you. I will start with my current oldest one. I don't know if I showed this last week or if I just spoke about it, but this is it's a mystery knit along brioche shawl by So Sue Knits, and I started it in, I want to say 2023. Was it that long ago? Yeah, 20th of January 2023. So 2.5 years ago. That's almost as old as the Bits and Bobs blanket. And it has sat in storage for different reasons. And then for 12 cast-ons, I stole some of the yarn to finish, or to make a different project, which I did speak about last week. So I pulled this out. I don't think that I've returned the yarn to the bag that I took out for this other project, but I still have plenty of yarn in here, and it is a scrappy project, so I think I'll be okay. But this is where I'm up to. Now, this yarn, I'm using Holst yarn, and this is super soft. This is bleached white that I'm using at the moment, and I'm holding it with this one, but I can't find the tag. I used to know what it was. No. Sweet pea. That'll be the one. Sweet pea. Super soft wool. I don't know what all the technical things are, whether it's just got lanolin or the way that it's spun, but it does come very thin off the ball. It's also got a huge amount of meterage. For 50 grams, it is 287 meters. But it's definitely not a sport weight. Sorry, not a lace weight. Like, that's 50 grams, 300 meters. Not 100 grams, 50 grams. So it does feel thin. When you wash it, it blooms beautifully. I have a jumper, 3/4 length sleeve jumper made out of this, and I love it. I wear it all the time. When I first made a shawl out of this, I wasn't very impressed with the yarn. And I did some Googling and found people saying, you know, rewash it. I washed it then in warm water using the wool wash, but very like hot water. Put it in, don't touch it, because is it superwash? Yeah, I don't think it's superwash. So have to be very careful. So I put hot water, put it in, didn't agitate it at all. When the water had cooled, I took it out and squeezed it, laid out, not wringing, squeezing, and it had bloomed beautifully. It was much fuller, much softer, much less like see-through. I don't know how much see-through you can see here, but I can see it a lot looking into the light. Yeah, it bloomed beautifully. And at that point I went, oh, maybe I do want more things with this. Luckily I had plenty of yarn left over. So I decided to make another shawl. This one, like I said, is a mystery knit along, the brioche and mystery is what it's called. And it's got at the beginning this beautiful alternating brioche where you're just changing which one is the right side. So it is completely reversible at this point, and I have done this much since I last showed you, which was honestly probably years ago. I am really enjoying the pattern this time. When I tried it last time, the alternating, it wasn't regular enough that it stuck in my mind, and kind of every row was different, and I just found it a lot of concentration. This time it's making much more sense. I am into the repeat, so I'm doing the same thing a few times over, and I understand the knitting better. So I don't know if I just understand brioche better now than I did 2.5 years ago, which is probably the case, or whether my brain is in a better spot. But yeah, I'm loving this. I haven't done a huge amount of work on it, but I am loving it, and will definitely put this back into my rotation. The next one that I have to show you, it's kind of a finished object. This is another one that I actually just finished a few minutes ago. So it is another finish, but it's not blocked, it's not seamed. So that's why I say kind of. This one I am using hand spun. This is 100% merino scrappy tops from Fibre Art Shed. I love Fibre Art Shed. Really, really enjoy their yarn. Beautiful, beautiful people. I've met them a couple of times at yarn shows. Very, very helpful as well. If you have any questions about processing, wool, that kind of stuff, can recommend. And I held it, I didn't hold it double, but the other yarn is this one, which is Merino Fleck 8-ply heirloom. Shade 65 EH. This one I bought just from a random shop in Australia. So they are the two yarns. I have so much of this left. In fact, I have my scales here because I knew that I would want to do some weighing. I'm just going to see how much I have left over because this was 200 grams. Wow, okay, I have 148 grams left. So I only used just over 50 grams of this yarn. I did use more of the other one. This is the pattern, I don't think I even told you, DRK Everyday Cal by Andrea Mary. And I did size 3. This is quite a long pattern because she gives you information if you want to do a fade. So I did the adult small, and she says, okay. So she says about 140 grams total. I have a feeling I read that and thought that was each colour, because I thought I was going to be pushing it, like cutting it close with only having 100 grams. Anyway, I have a lot left over. I need to decide what to do with that. But here is the cow. Actually, if I hold it this way, this is the way it actually goes. So what I have to do now is block it and then seam these two together, and then it will sit something like this. So beautiful. You can see a marker on here. That is where I was up to when I showed you last. So that is a 6, because this was day 6 of my 12 cast-ons 2025. Yeah. 12 cast-ons is a knit along that is hosted by Ange of Jana Yarns. She casts on 12 projects between the 24th of December and the 31st of January the following year, and invites anyone and everyone to cast on with her. And then after it's cast on, however many you want to cast on, you knit on them throughout the year. So this was day number 6. I do have a vlog series up here on YouTube if you're interested. You can find that linked below, where I cast this on and talk about it. But this is where, so that's where I was. And that is what I've knit in the past 2 weeks. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I did make a mistake. I knit an extra 2 rows before I did the cast off. And so I'm hoping that I'll just make it line up. It means that this edge will be slightly shorter than the corresponding one. I don't care, I'll make it work. And also she has you keep a long tail of yarn for seaming in, which I forgot. So I don't have long tails of yarn to seam in, and I'll just get some extra at the end. I love this. I'm very, very happy. I have so much yarn left. I don't know what I'm going to do with it all. So much of the hand spun. I have ideas, but I don't know. So there you go. That is that one, almost done. And once it is blocked and seamed, I will probably show you again. But yeah, another finish. Okay, I have in this bag, I have made almost every one of my bags, not this style, this style. I have a tutorial for. So if you're interested in a zippered flat bottom bag to make yourself, check out the tutorial below. This is a drawstring one instead. Alright, this is my Kookaburra jumper. I'm making this for my husband. This was day 8 of 12 cast-ons, as I can tell by my beautiful little stitch marker here. The stitch markers came, excuse me, from Progress Keepers, came from Knit with Sis, which is a Polish company. This is where I'm up to. The Kookaburra is a sweater designed by Jana, who is a Polish woman who lives in Sydney, Australia. And I'm loving looking at all of her summer knits at the moment. They're beautiful. I have only done a couple of inches since I last showed it on the podcast, but I don't know when I'm going to work on it again, so I thought I would show you. Although, I have a feeling, yeah, I think I've just finished the patterning. So the chest of this one has this pine motif, or kookaburra wings, however you want to think about it. And then the rest of the body I think is like a seed stitch or something. So I've just finished where that motif is, and the next part is to go onto the kind of all over pattern for the body, which could put this into easy knitting, and I can do it while I'm doing Polish lessons. So maybe I won't put this away. Maybe I'll keep it out, and that can be my Polish lesson knitting. I've lived in Poland for 3 years. I'm still learning Polish. I have Polish lessons twice a week. But most of the time, me and our beautiful teacher just chat. And it's really, really great for Polish language, but it does help me in some way to knit while I chat. So I think I will do that with that one. Alright, the next thing I have for you today is, alright, I have Alpine Bloom written down, which I'm recording in our study today, which means I have my wheel right here. I'm not going to try and pick up the wheel, it's too big. It's an Ashford Kiwi 3. But this is the fibre that I'm spinning, and it's attached to the wheel, but this is all I have left to spin of the second strand of yarn. So I did start getting that out again. Two at a Fleece is coming up soon, which is where people spin yarn while they watch people ride bikes, spin bikes. And I'm undecided whether I'm going to join in officially with a team or just spin extra yarn at that point in the year. But it's getting warmer. I've been wanting to spin more, so I started doing that again. I will show you, I won't show you the bobbin that's on the wheel, but this is my first ply from the Alpine. So the Alpine Tee is a pattern by Alpine Bloom. It is on Ravelry and linked below because it was one of my 12 cast-ons. Even though I didn't technically start knitting, I'd counted it from that point because it was a spin to knit. But yeah, so this is my, is it Caitlin Hunter? No. Who is it? I don't know. Go have a look. Anyway, this is strand number 1. I'm doing a 3-ply fractal, so this is the part that is the longest colour repeats. What I'm doing now is middle, so I split it into 2, and then I have over here a bowl where everything is split into 4. So I'm pretty excited to get this going. I did have to buy more fibre from when I had it, when I started, because when I started I thought I had 100 grams and that I would be pushing it, and then I realised I only had 50 grams. So I bought an extra 100 grams and I am spinning that up. And it is so much fun to spin that. Yeah, my evenings have been full doing work and editing things, but I spin usually just in the evenings because I find it easier to put knitting down and go after children than to put spinning down and go after children. Don't know if you find the same, but that's what I find. And the Alpine Bloom is a colourwork yoke t-shirt. Jana of the Finished Knitting Stories just finished one, and I don't know who else has made them recently, but I have had it on my I want to make that list probably since it was released. So I was really excited to start that as day 9 of the 12 cast-ons. The next thing that I have to show you are socks, which I'm honestly not sure if I've showed you this or not, but let's show you now. When did I? Wait a minute. No, wait. You may have seen this. Honestly, I cannot remember. If you have, it was in its infancy. Alright, so this is the yarn that I'm using. Hot Socks from Grundle. It is a 4-ply stripy sock. This is like only 15 zloty, which is not much money for 50 grams of sock yarn. If you have big feet, get 2 pair, but I can get a pair of socks out of 50 grams easily if I do contrast heels and toes. What I did with this though, I didn't want to do shorty socks where I'm knitting the cuff, doing a tiny bit, knitting the heel, doing a little bit, doing the toe, because I wanted it to be easy knitting. So what I did was 2 at a time, afterthought everything socks. I believe Kay of the Crazy Sock Lady has a tutorial for that, which I will try to remember to link below. If I forget, just Google it. She definitely has afterthought heel tutorial and 2 at a time socks tutorial. I think she has afterthought everything. But basically what I did was I cast on, yes, on this side, I cast on, normal cast on, I knit a tube. I continued to knit the tube until I had knit both socks, and then I cast off. So you can see that the cast on and cast off are actually, like, they look slightly different. This is a long tail cast on, this is a 2x2 rib cast off. Like, nothing special, but I just made sure to do it with extra room. When I'm wearing these, it's not going to make a difference. I did, because I started with these really bright colours. I just started at the beginning, but they were the quite bright colours. So I decided I wanted the bright colours to be the cast off as well, even though they're back to front colour-wise. So when I got to the pink, when I knew I needed to start doing the cuff, I knit 1 round of the pink, and then I went into the 2x2 rib, which meant that I don't have kind of the bumps of purple in the rib. It gives you a clean start. I then, when I changed colour in the rib, knit 1 round plain whenever the colour started changing, so that I also wouldn't have colour bumps in between, but the colours are so similar, I don't think I needed to do that. And then I counted my rows to try and figure out when I would need to start the cast off. You can see here I underestimated just a smidge because I have a tiny bit of the next colour. Again, I don't care. I will wear them. They're not going to be uncomfortable. There's just a tiny bit of colour. So then I had just 1 long tube like that. So last night what I did was I got my needles. I probably would have done it with 2 separate pairs, except that I couldn't be bothered to get up. So I got my needles and I picked up on one side of where I was planning to cut, on both sides of the sock. I then, with the same needles, I just pulled it around and going this way, picked up, leaving 1 row spare, picked up the next row and did the same on the back. So I had 1 pair of needles through 1 thing of sock like this 4 times. 2 on the front, 2 on the back. I then cut on one side and started unpicking until I had unpicked that entire row. And after that was done, they magically flipped open to have 2 socks on the same needle. It was pretty cool. Then I just started knitting the toes. So these are the toes in progress. I just got some scrap. It is from Takesha. Hi Takesha if you're watching. This was, I'm not going to remember any details, but it was from Arizona. Can't remember the name, but it is an alpaca blend. It is beautiful sock yarn, so alpaca merino nylon, I'd say. And I've used it to make mittens for me and socks for a friend, and I still have some left, so I'm using them for heels and toes here. I have a bag of scraps waiting for me to wind up 5 grade minis for scrap blankets, and so I just went through the bag and found something that would work. So yeah, I'm doing the toes here, and then once I've done the toes, I'm going to measure where I need to put my heel, and then I will do the afterthought heel according to Kay's tutorial for where to put the heel. It'll probably be somewhere in here. So they will be shorties, and yeah, I'm excited. I did these size, like I did them 56 stitches, so just cast on 56 stitches and went. Yeah, 2x2 rib for however long 2 stripes was. Like I didn't even count the things. Let me do that now. 8 rows of ribbing. And I didn't even make sure that I completed the 8 rows. I just let the colours guide these socks. So I didn't have any stitch markers marking rows. I just went, I knew that I wanted to split it between the dark colours, or like the pinky red ones. And so I went, that's too short for a sock. That's a good length. I could do another repeat, but then I would have quite a decent heel. I want shorties, so I just stopped there. And you can see I have quite a lot left over. Yeah, I am interested in doing this because I'm still trying to find my perfect fit, and I'm starting to think that maybe I prefer afterthought heel socks or German short rows socks to the heel flap and gusset. So I'm giving it a go for my socks. Everyone I make socks for loves the heel flap and gusset, but for me, I don't know, these seem to stay up on my feet better. So I'm giving it a go. I am tempted to make myself a sock advent with the leftovers of this and a couple of my other colours, because this is 6 stripes. If I do this 4 times, and then I could make myself my own little personalised sock advent, knit a stripe a day, have a pair of socks. What do you think? I'm interested. I have at least 2 colour repeats left here. Easy. Yeah, so anyway, that's what I've got here. Very, very happy. Yeah. And they're now out of easy knitting because I have to do the cutting and the everything. But yeah, I'll be able to do that. Cutting into them last night, and what I've knit there was maybe 40 minutes, maybe a bit longer. So I'll keep working on that one. All right, next thing I have for you is my bean and olive. So I think I spoke about this one last week, last episode, and this is a jumper for my daughter. I have made pretty good progress. The main colour is this one, which is from Biferno. It is Pinot Surprise Plus. Yeah, Biferno, 100% merino. And this is colour 11, and it is a limited edition colour. And then I held it with, which bag is that in? This one. I am surrounded, guys. Great. I held it double with this one, which is Bendigo Woolen Mills Luxury 8-ply. Now, Bendigo Woolen Mills does run a little bit thicker than what I'm used to. So 8-ply here I would easily use as a 10-ply for other things. But I chose in this one to use it as an 8-ply because I just needed a little bit of colour work, and I don't mind if the colour work stands out a little bit more. So this is a pattern by Andrea Mowry. It's called Bean and Olive, and it is colour work sweater. So, so cute. My daughter didn't have many jumpers. I just went op shopping and bought her some, but I thought I can make her a very cute little heart sweater. It's all wrinkled because it's been in a bag and obviously not blocked, but you get the idea. I'm working on the body. I don't know how much longer I have to go until I stop according to the pattern, and I probably will. My daughter's tall, so I'm doing a larger size than for her age, like I'm doing it according to her chest circumference. But I suspect because she'll wear it with dresses, having it slightly cropped if she is taller than the pattern expected will work. So I think I'll just do it to what the pattern says. This is going to be very warm. I was thinking that she could use it on cooler days in summer, but it's probably not going to work for that. It is a DK weight sweater. One thing I did change is I added short rows. So you can see here the little hearts are further away than on the front. That was so easy to do. I was a little bit nervous about doing it, but because it's a round yoke sweater, it was so easy. Like I just knit to a certain point, did a double stitch, knit the same amount of stitches to the other side of the beginning of round, did a German double stitch, knit, I think I went 4 stitches, 5 stitches past, did a double stitch, and I only did 3 short rows on each side to get that sitting up. So yeah, really, really easy, much easier than doing it with a raglan or something where you're dealing with increases at the same time. Round yokes for short rows. That's my advice. Yeah, so that one I'm doing everything according to pattern aside from recommended size for age. For measurements, yes, but not for age. I started that one on the 26th of May. So I think it was right after the last podcast maybe. And I haven't actually worked on it for a week or so. Like I did that very, very quickly and then was like, cool, that can go away until I'm ready for some more easy knitting, which I almost am. The next thing I have to show you. Oh, okay. So I have 2 things that are kind of connected. I saw a new pattern. It was released last week and I decided I want to cast it on. It's a scrappy pattern, and it's a tee. So I decided not to start the Caitlin Hunter tee or another, what's the word? Salty air tee, but to start this pattern instead. So thank you all for voting, and I will, I think I will make the Caitlin Hunter with those colours because so many people said yes, do that. I think Caitlin Hunter only won by 1 vote. The Miserina tee won by 1 vote over the Salty Air tee in the browns. But I will probably, I will do them both. Probably not part of this tee knit along anymore because I got distracted by the sundial tee. When I started pulling out scraps for the sundial tee, I was like, all right, time to make some more scrappy socks as well. So I'll show you my scrappy socks first. I just went through and I have a bag of scraps here. I did pick out particularly browns, greens, blues, yellows kind of colours. And this is what I have. So I'm using the DK Weight Vanilla Socks by Kay of the Crazy Sock Lady. It is a free pattern that you can get on Ravelry and maybe on Etsy too. And yeah, I'm just holding it double, so fingering weight held double to get DK weight. I have this yarn that I'm holding for the cuff and heels and toes. Hopefully I'll have enough for all of them. My plan was to get some uniformity, but since it's only the one that I'm holding, I'm still holding it together with another yarn, it will give a little bit of uniformity maybe, but not a huge amount. And I'm just counting every 10 rows so I can keep track of how much I'm up to. This one here is telling me where I started the heel. And this one is where I'm changing colour just by adding in the new colour for 5 stitches where I'll hold 3 yarns together and then I go back to 2, dropping the old yarn. It is working really well. There are places where I'm sure I can feel that it's slightly thicker, and then there are places where you couldn't tell at all. I probably won't, she says hesitantly, I probably won't sew in the ends more than that, and I will give you feedback how well they hold up, but you can see on the inside, like I just have all these little ends hanging loose. So I will probably just cut them off and be done with it. If there is a problem with the wear later on, then I can go back and fix it up. But because there is one yarn held consistently the whole time, you're not going to get a hole or a gap there where it's kind of pulling. The worst you'll get is one of the stitches may come undone and be fluffy on the front. Like as in one of the stitches, but it still wouldn't cause a hole. So yeah, I'm going to see if that works, because if that works for Scrappy socks where I'm holding 2 yarns double, I am sold. And I've done that same thing for the DRK Everyday KAL when I had to add in my new colour of the kind of deep red. I just held them both together for 5 stitches and then I kept going with the new yarn. And again, after blocking, I will trim that. I won't sew it in anymore. As Andrew Murray likes to say, knitting wants to come undone vertically, not horizontally. So you have to kind of really work hard to get the knitting to come undone horizontally. And yeah, I'm going with that for socks. For a KAL, I will let you know how they hold up. The one that I really wanted to start that led to this Scrappy socks is in this bag, which is a new bag. I just made it, and I made it this time with just iron-on interfacing instead of with like a patchwork fluffy puffy batting. And I have to say, I'm not as much a fan. It's definitely lighter, it squishes down smaller, which is good for traveling, but it doesn't stand up as well. And so, you know, I thought I would try it. I've tried it, probably won't do it again. This is the Sundial Tee by Woolen Pine Designs. Don't know if you figured out, that was the one I was talking about. I saw it, I loved it, I looked for scraps, I found scraps. I don't know how well you'll see this, but I have in here, that one is not a scrap, I dyed that one, but I have in here scraps from some advents that I've done over the past few years, which has been advent swaps. And I pulled out the solid colours that I still had separated to do. Now this is very, very early days. This is the front. Like, I'm not even sure there's a good place to show you. But this is what I've got so far. It is a mosaic pattern. It's very pretty, in fact. Let me show you. So you get a really nice contrast. That's a higher contrast one, and another pattern which probably wouldn't work so well in black and white is a more low contrast. So it's just a mosaic knit with stripes, and so you knit each colour for 2 pattern repeats, but you change 1 colour every pattern repeat. So you'll do, you know, if you're doing black and white here, you'll do black and red here, and then you do red and yellow, yellow, white, white, pink, whatever. So you're using 1 colour for 2 repeats, but you still change 1 yarn every repeat, alternating when you change. And so, yeah, it'll be quite a fun thing to see how the colours play with together. There's obviously not a lot of contrast for this first one in terms of tone, so we'll see if I end up with the more tonal type one or if there are moments of high contrast. Honestly, I got all very excited about starting this one, and then I started it and I made a mistake because I was talking to people when I started it, and so then I had to rip back some, and I did get into the colour work, but once I started the colour work and did a couple of rows, I put it away and haven't touched it again. So I will pick it up some more now that I've shown you, now that I've finished the bits and bobs blanket, the KAL. I think this is going to be one of my focus knits for the next little bit, at least till the end of June when the Tee no longer finishes. Let's see if I can get another Tee done. But it's mosaic, so you knit it starting at the top, you knit it flat one side, and then you pick up your provisional cast on and knit it flat the other side, and then seam the sides. So when you seam the sides, you can choose armhole depth, and also if you want like a split hem or not, those kinds of things you can choose at the end. So yeah, I also have 2 blankets to share with you. The first one, I actually can't remember when I showed you last. So I have a stitch marker here so that I can mark where I showed you last, or where I showed you this time so that I can remember next time. This is just a basic granny square blanket. So yeah, basic granny square, very, very simple. I'm going to put this here. Oh yeah, it's starting to unravel because I'm pulling it up and showing you. I'm going to put it here on the last completed row so that next time I show you, we can see how much I've done. This is no pattern, just clusters of 3 double chains, and then I'm doing 2 double chains in the corner. So the corner I've got 3 double chains, 2 chains, 3 double chains, and then keep going. And I am changing every round. I'm changing the colour, so there's no jog, it's just new colour. I have a whole bunch of yarns in here. Oh, I'm using a Tulip Atimo crochet hook, 3mm. I think technically this is a worsted weight yarn, but you may be able to see that it's a bit thick and thin. So some parts are, I would say, worsted, some parts are DK, some parts are bordering on fingering. And I have, this is not the same, but I have a few different colours, 4 different colours of this one, which is Winter Glow, and then I have this one, which is, I think, Himalayas. So the Winter Glow is 51% wool, 49% acrylic. I bought it to make the Night Shift shawl by Andrew Murray, and was so unhappy with it because it just didn't have the weight that I wanted for a shawl. It will be very warm because it's wool and spun, but it didn't have the weight that I wanted. And so I'm turning it into a blanket. It's 200 grams, 700 meters, but it is apparently worsted weight. So gives you an idea of how light this yarn is, and therefore how light the blanket will be. So yeah, I'm not doing any particular pattern. I'm just choosing a yarn choosing a colour when I finish. I did have a little bit of blue left over from another project, so that's in here. And I have used the pink in another project, so I don't have a huge amount of that, so I'm trying to use that sparingly. But the other 4, I have about 150 grams of each one left. So that's quite a lot to go. And this one I have moved into my basket, which is where my bits and bobs were sitting. And this is going to sit next to my chair upstairs. So if I want to just sit down and do a little bit of, thinking or whatever, I have this sitting there ready to pick up. That one, I don't even know when I started that. Let me find out. I started that Granny Square 15th of July 2023. So also quite a while ago. Alright, and the last one that I have to show you is awkward to show. It is in this great Star Wars bag fabric from Spotlight Australia. It is the Star Wars alphabet. And my husband was like, oh, that's impressive. What did they get for X? X-Wing. He was like, oh yeah, probably should have thought of that. So yeah, I think they've done pretty well with everyone. Alright, so this one I am doing, I pivoted. I think I've shown you, yeah, I showed you since I pivoted, but I didn't have much to actually show you. So let me show you the picture. I am doing a corner to corner Grafgan, is that what you call it? It's a blanket with a pattern on it. So it's corner to corner. 2 Magic Pixels is the place where I got the pattern. And the pattern comes with both a graph, and I then paid extra to get the corner to corner count. So I don't have to look at a graph. I can just be like, I need to do this many of this and then this many of this. And I'm obviously marking off as I do each row in this one, because wowzers, that would be insane if I wasn't. I'm up to row 63 out of 179, 180. So I am, I want to say a third of the way through, but we all know the middle is going to be bigger than the edge. So I'm going to say maybe quarter of the way through. And I am going to drop all the yarn as I do this, which is going to make a big mess, but I'm still going to show you. I'm using, I think this is a Kmart hook, 3.5 millimeter DK weight yarn. Kmart Australia, I think a set of hooks like this, so they're flat on one side. Yeah, so you can grip nicely. I think they were like $9 for 7 hooks. Like, really good price, and it's also very comfortable. I use these a lot. Like, this is my only full set I have. I have a few Tula Patimos that I've bought. They're very, very pricey. I have one Clover hook, and I have my Kmart set. So yeah, if you're looking for good crochet hooks, I can recommend Kmart. I won't guarantee all the ends are perfectly smooth. You pay for what you get, but my ones have been good. Okay, so this is where, you know what, let's see if I can show you that side. This is where I'm at. I have started the 3rd colour background, so if you were here last time, you would have heard this. If not, I am doing the pattern according to pattern, except that I have 3 different colours for the background. So I started the background with this green colour, I then changed it to the sky blue, and now the 3rd colour is the purple. When I finish 30 rows of the purple, I will go back to the green again, then the blue, and then finish on the purple for the last corner. So let's see if I can do this without putting it absolutely everywhere. This is where, no, it's not going to work. All right, this is where I'm up to. So this is the pot where Baby Groot is, and you can see a little bit of his body here. This is the top of the pot, and then this is his hand up here. So, or his arm. So I'm just getting into the more complicated section. I think it'll be fine. I have on the back all of these little bobbins that I've 3D printed so that the yarn's not going completely everywhere. And most of them are on the bobbins, particularly for this section where it's just every row is a different colour. But I do have some full balls attached as well. I have loved doing this. I'm not sure how much longer I'm going to be able to keep it up now that we're getting into summer, because it is taking, like, it is getting warm to just be sitting there under a blanket. But I am really enjoying it. So we'll see. I think it'll be a matter of enjoyment versus heat. If I stop enjoying it because it's too hot, then I'll obviously put it away. Yeah, I have things rolling away everywhere. So that is where that one's up to. I'm enjoying it. I haven't decided to put it away properly yet, but I haven't picked it out for the last week. So I did a lot of work on it till I got to the purple, and then I was like, cool, I've made my achievement. I got to the purple. That can go sit while I do other things now. So yeah, we'll see what I'm doing. Next month, I have gone through a little bit and picked out what I want to do. So the bits, I can tick that off. Bits and Bobs was on it. That's done. DRK Everyday Cal. That's done. The Alpine Bloom is a focus. I do have the group blanket on here as a focus for this month, so maybe that'll help. And I had the Mizzarina, which is now going to be the Sundial Tee, which is my focus. I think my DRK Everyday Bloom has been in my easy knitting pile, as have been my stripy socks. So I'll probably sub my, where did it go? The Bean and Olive into easy knitting, because that is just plain knitting for the body. And then when I get to the sleeves, that'll be easy once I read the pattern and figure it out. Vanilla knitting with a few decreases. So I think those will become my easy knitting, and maybe the Kookaburra if I sit down and get that going a little bit longer. But the thing that is kind of taking over my thinking right now is Christmas knitting. Anyone else hit June and go, right, time to do Christmas prep? Just me? I always hear about people saying, oh, I have all these plans to do Christmas knitting early and then I never do. And then I'm always rushing right before Christmas. Well, that's not me, because most of the people I knit for live in other countries. So while there's usually a little bit of, I would like to get this done for the people I live with right at Christmas time, or last year I decided to knit 2 pairs of socks in 3 days for my teacher and her husband. Generally, all of my Christmas knitting is done way ahead of time. So I need to have all of my Christmas knitting done, I think, by September this year. My parents will be visiting, and so they'll take some gifts back to Australia with them. Hi, Mum and Dad, if you're watching this. They'll take some stuff back to Australia with them. And I also need to ship for the other side of the family around then, because there are some end of year birthdays in October and November that will need to be included with the December parcel. So all that to say, it's Christmas knitting time. If you're with me, raise your hand. I have a list here of things that I want to knit, and I'm not going to go through them all because, yes, people watch here that I will be knitting for. But yeah, it's definitely, that is where my mind has gone. So all of these things that I've just shown you are kind of out of my consciousness in terms of crafting. Yeah, the scrappy socks are in my consciousness. The 2 at a time socks, because they're so close to being finished, I just want to get them done. But sundial tea a little bit, but most of what I've just shown you is like, it feels like old news because I was working on it a week ago, and now I've just, my brain has shifted into Christmas knitting. If you're with me, let's do it. I don't know, does anyone do like a knit along for Christmas gift knitting? Because they should, and they should do it now, not in November. Especially for me, I make a lot of pairs of socks for Christmas gifts, and so doing that in summer makes sense. If you're interested, I know we're still doing a t-shirt knit along, but if you're interested in Christmas gift knitting knit along now, or maybe in July, let me know, because I'm going to be doing a whole bunch of gift knits. Yeah, let me know. Yeah, the other thing that I'm doing is I'm helping a friend sew a wedding dress. So that's been taking up some creative space. And I did go to a secondhand shop with my Polish teacher the other day. I had a great time. I hope she had as good a time as I did. She bought one thing and I bought a lot of things because I was buying summer clothes for my kids. But I did buy some Jana covers and some like a bed skirting, some out of vintage fabric, some kind of plain colours in order to use for patchworking. Very, very exciting. But I also found things like a linen dress that I was like, that's not going to fit me, and almost every seam was coming undone. But it was $2, I think, Australian, very, very cheap. And so I bought it so that I can re-sew it into a skirt. It's basically already there, I just need to reinforce all the seams. But then I will have a beautiful linen skirt that I can wear in summer with all of my knits. I bought a top for my son that was long sleeve, that will fit him perfectly now. It's a Henley top with button up. So I just chopped off the sleeves and I just need to hem it so that he can wear it. My teacher said to me, you need 2 lifetimes for the amount of things that you're planning to do. And she was just talking about what I bought there, not what I have here. She's probably right. But anyway, I like crafting. This is my happy place. My goodness, I love this. So thank you so much for coming. I don't know that I have anything else to share with you. The weather has been off and on rainy, sunny. Today is a top of 19 with rain forecasts. So it's been a bit of a cooler time, but I'm not even wearing knits today, even though it's cooler because it's quite hot right now. Yeah, thank you so much for joining me. If you have been working on something, comment below or head over to the Ravelry and share a photo so I can see what you've been working on. Like and subscribe. Yeah, join me again next time. I would love to share spend more time with you, sharing what's been going on, what I've been working on, what's been getting me excited creatively. And where are we? June 13. I think the next one will still be in June. Yeah. So let's see how many more things I can finish in June. Because I'm already sitting at like 1.3 kilograms of yarn used. Wonder if I could get to over 2 kilograms. Nah. I don't knit to use up yarn. I knit because I enjoy knitting. Alright, thank you so much. See you next time. Bye.